Ladies and gents, welcome back. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt unless they have legal recourse, that is, i.e. spreading fake news about firearms at a protest. Well, that is exactly what happened with a Toronto Star article that was spread around by politicians referring to the Freedom Convoy protesters being in possession of firearms at the protest, which never panned out. Here we have Dane Lloyd grilling the intern, I think now the permanent police chief of Ottawa, on the matter.
Were any loaded shotguns found in the trucks of protesters?
Mr. Chair, what I can indicate is throughout the protest, we did receive information and intelligence around weapons and the possession of weapons by people that either had attended or intended on attending the occupation. As a result of the clearing, at no point did we lay any firearms related charges, yet there are investigations that continue in relation to weapons possessions at the occupation.
I guess
that's a funny way of saying no. The question was, were there any found? That's the question of the day. These are obfuscations when people are asked direct questions and don't want to give the direct answer because it doesn't fit what they want to do legally or politically.
Yes or no, Interim Chief, were loaded firearms found in the trucks during the protest clearing operation? Yes or no?
So as I indicated, Mr. Chair, there has been no charges laid to date in relations to weapons at the occupation site.
It's just a clear question, Interim Chief. Like, were weapons found? Like, were loaded firearms found? Yes or no?
Now, let's just have a look. This is Police Chief Bell, who is the new police chief of Ottawa. And he's the new police chief because they got rid of the old police chief, Sully, who refused to do more Gestapo-type tactics. Now, it's not that this guy wasn't bad. He was the one who was trying to remove fuel at the time from the protesters so that they couldn't heat their trucks in sub-zero temperatures, below freezing temperatures. At the time, that wasn't bad enough, so they replaced him with this guy. Looks like a Bond villain. Anyway, back to his response. Now, answer the question, please. Were there guns found, loaded guns found at the protest, yes or no?
So in relation to no, not
Okay.
to relating to any charges to this point.
Thank you, Chief. That's very illuminating. On March 19th, this past Saturday, a reporter, Justin Lang, wrote in the Toronto Star, quote, that police sources indicated that loaded shotguns were found in trucks at the Ottawa protest. Is this false information?
So I'm unfamiliar with the quote you're referring to, but as I indicated before, we received intelligence information, continue criminal investigations, and no charges have been laid to date in relation to firearms.
But the article claims that a police source told journalists that loaded shotguns were found in trucks during the protest clearing operation, and you have said to this committee that that is in fact not the case, that loaded shotguns were not found in trucks during the protest clearing operation. Is that the case, Interim Chief?
So thank you for the question. Mr. Chair, as I indicated, we received intelligence information. I'm unclear around the source information that was received for that article or the corroboration around it, but we have not laid any charges
Interim Chief, that
in relation.
Can you clarify, Interim Chief, speaking on the record, not off the record, that loaded shotguns were not found in the vehicles during the protest operation? Can you confirm that?
So yeah, consistent with my answer previously, yes, I can confirm to date.
Thank you.
No charges have been laid.
If there had been firearms found, would the government have been made aware of that, as far as you know? Would the cabinet have been made aware of that if there had been firearms found?
Well, our normal course of action would be that we would conduct an investigation and charges would be laid. And as a result of those charges, there would be public notifications of those charges. We wouldn't specifically notify any level of government as to the course or the conclusion of any investigation.
But they would have been immediately aware if you had found firearms, correct?
So there would have been public notifications made.
So we had a cabinet minister, the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, Mark Miller, retweeted that article from Justin Ling from the Toronto Star, claiming that there were loaded shotguns found in trucks. This is misinformation, Chief, and I submit to the committee. Misinformation being spread by a journalist and misinformation being spread by a member of this government. And I'll just close my remarks and give my time to Mr. Shipley. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Interim Chief.
Now that is bad news that we have local politicians in the area. We have here Mark Miller, who is happy to spread this misinformation, MP in the government of Canada. And this information about firearms was, well, for one, it was not found. No firearms were found at the protest. But the idea that firearms may have been at the protest was the part of the reason why they had to declare a state of emergency over a peaceful protest that was showing no sign of escalating in any way violently. But they were using this rhetoric to try to push for the invocation of the state of emergency, which they ended up doing. Justin Trudeau declaring a state of emergency, invoking the Emergencies Act to suspend the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada. And it all turned out to be a lie. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video. Keep on trucking.